Good evening, everyone. This is Professor Hill. It's a short video for our class, Introduction to Ethics Philosophy 2306 here at St. Philip's College for the first summer session. And today is Monday, the 12th of June. We're at the beginning of week 2 in our class. And so the essays were due last night, Sunday night, late by midnight. You guys turned them in. Now you start in chapter 2 in our textbook, Doing Ethics by Lewis Vaughn, which of course is right there in the Alamo books. So you're reading chapter 2 this week, and you're looking ahead to the next case study and the next essay. And y'all, dang, I read the essays. And here's the thing. You just flat tried to weasel out of it. You found a really hard case, and you were like, I don't want to make a decision. Guys, I asked you, was this decision by Jenny Lake right or wrong, and why? And I'm just like, I'm reading the essays, and people are like, I don't want to make a decision. I would feel bad judging her. I just don't know what to do. And I'm like, you've got one job. One job. And I'm telling you, a lot of you were just like, I can't do it. So, okay. So here's the deal. You have to make a decision. No, look, okay. First of all, seriously, I get that this was a difficult, complex case. I wanted to start off right off the bat with one which was not simple, not easy. But here's the thing. I also, man, and I learned this the hard way. This is not a theoretical case, okay? This wasn't some academic exercise. Jenny Lake, very much a very real girl, facing a very difficult problem. And you know what was not an option for Jenny Lake? To say, I don't want to make a decision, or, wow, this is really hard. I'm just not going to do it. The fact of the matter is, she had to face an extraordinarily difficult decision, and God bless her, she made a decision. Now, you might agree with it, you might not. And look, I also understand the whole, you grew up with grandma telling you, don't judge other people. And look, people say that for a reason. And what they're trying to say is, don't be haughty. Don't think you're better than other people. Because there's this whole thing that, well, in order to judge other people, I'm kind of up here and you little peons are down here. And look, yeah, nobody wants you to be arrogant and rude and condescending. I get that. And that's why people tell you that. But we have to make extraordinarily difficult decisions, especially in medical ethics. And I got to tell you, one of the options is not, oh, well, this is hard. I don't want to think about it. So I'll just throw up my hands and say, I couldn't decide. Or better yet, there is no right, wrong. There's no answer here. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay. I need you to gut up to making some decisions and then defending those. Because look, we've still got a bunch of interesting cases ahead. Some are big, dramatic things like the one we're going to do this week. Some are small, simpler, smaller things because, ethics is not just about the big and dramatic. It's also about, returning your shopping cart to the shopping cart corral at HEB so you don't ding my minivan. That's an ethical choice. People that leave their carts just rolling around the parking lot, obviously this is a pet peeve of mine, are not fulfilling their ethical duties as a citizen of this country and a patron of HEB. You have an obligation to return that cart. And look, my point there is simply that ethics applies to big and small. And we got to figure out whether we're going to be approaching things from a kind of a consequentialist approach where we're looking at all the factors, we're trying to do, weighing and balancing the outcomes because they matter, or whether we're going to have a principle approach, there's some rule or principle at stake, some non-consequentialist approach, some deontological approach. So whatever justifies your decision, I'm just telling you, you have to make one. So look, this was the first essay. I get it. It's still new. We're reading our books. We had just done chapter 1, and this was the first essay. So I'm trying to cut people a little slack. But I'm also telling you, when I ask you to make a decision, and it's for that very reason that I mentioned, which is that these are actual real cases. People had to make decisions. You can't, the reality of these things is you just can't throw up your hands and say, I don't want to play. If you are pregnant and taking chemotherapy, you've got to make a choice. And again, as we saw, it's going to be terrible. It's going to always end badly. But you've got to talk about the decisions you make and why. And so, look, as we get to this week, and we're reading chapter 2, and I've got lots to say about chapter 2. I'm going to put in a link to me complaining about chapter 2 in the playlist, and I'll also do something about it tomorrow in the video. But the fact of the matter is, dang, what you're going to see with John the paramedic is an extraordinary situation that really happened. And this guy made a decision. And I got to tell you, John, the paramedic, defends it as the most moral thing he's ever done. He said those words to me. And there are students who agree with him, as you'll see. I think it was clearly an unethical choice, a horrific choice in many ways, but there is not unanimous consent around that. People do disagree on this. So I'm curious to see what you're going to think about it, what decision you're going to make, and then why. So I'm just telling you now, I don't want to hear, the cop out of, wow, this is really hard, and I don't want to make a choice because that's just not going to fly. Like I said, everybody gets a swing and a miss, one bite at the apple kind of thing for chapter 1 in the first essay. But you have now been fairly warned. So you're going to have to either say to me, listen, I think what John did was defensible and justified, and I agree with him. Or no, because we have to make moral judgments. That's just part of being a human being. Because you're going to be faced with difficult moral dilemmas. Which is why we use actual real cases and not hypotheticals in this class. Well, with one exception. We're going to talk a little bit about the famous trolley problem later, but we'll get to that later. That's a fictional hypothetical, but that's the only one we use around here. All right, I'm still grading papers. I had camp today. I'm still working with the Summer and Math Science Academy kids, and God, they are sweet, but they are also they're a drain. They are those kids have got energy. Today I had 10-year-olds that are like going into 6th grade, and then some like 13-year-old girls with Girls Inc. Anyway, they're fabulous and they're wonderful, and we're talking about ethics. But it's a little bit, we're not talking about this stuff. We're not reading Doing Ethics by Louis Vaughn. We're not handling these kind of very adult case studies. We're talking about ponies. Anyway, it's a different thing. All right. So look, read chapter 2. I'll talk about chapter 2 tomorrow. There's already stuff about chapter 2 in the modules. Start reading, start thinking, and start looking ahead to that case study in John the paramedic, because you're going to have to make a choice. All right. Bye. Read, think, write.